Hi everybody, this is Dr. Katinka from the Neurologic Relief Center. I am author of Putting Out the Fire, New Hope for RSD CRPS. I wanted to take the time in the new year and just answer some questions for you guys about my treatment, really about this whole approach, because it is so different in the CRPS world, and so people have a lot of questions about how this works, how this possibly could work. So I want to start with our basic philosophy, which is this: the body was meant to heal from within if it is functioning correctly. A healthy body is never going to develop CRPS. Something was wrong beforehand. So it may be a combination of genetic factors, of stress, and then finally you have the triggering injury, and that's what I call the perfect storm. But the misconception is that you were perfectly healthy and then you had this awful injury, and if only that didn't happen, you would not have CRPS today. So our treatment focuses on healing the body from within. And one of the first things I want to say to you guys is that we do not treat CRPS RSD, which sounds counterproductive because that's why you're all watching this. What we do is we balance the central nervous system, and when that happens, the symptoms of CRPS RSD will often alleviate themselves and patients will go into full remission. There's a range. Some people go into remission, some people are a lot better. It just depends on a lot of different factors. So, how does our treatment work? Let me start by telling you how it doesn't work. All the treatments out there, or most of the treatments out there today, focuses on numbing the pain signal, interrupting the pain signal, numbing the pain signal, cutting the pain signal, interfering with the pain so that you don't feel it anymore. And I can't tell you guys how sympathetic I am towards your pain. I care about people that suffer from this condition. It is my passion in this world to help you guys. So I understand the urge. I have seen your suffering firsthand to just get rid of the pain. But long term, that is never going to get you better, because your body underneath is still going to be the same body with the same problems that allowed you to develop CRPS to begin with. And so if you're just taking ketamine or doing the infusions or doing a spinal cord stimulator, whatever it might be, you're interfering with the pain signal, but are you stopping and asking the question, why? Why did my body develop this? Your body is amazing, you guys. If you think about just what it goes through in order to grow a hair or to balance your blood pressure every day. If your blood pressure was allowed to go too low or too high, both could kill you, and your body magically will balance that all day long. If you stand up and it needs to rise, it will do that. If you get upset and your blood pressure goes up, it will come back down. And so that's an amazing thing that we just take for granted. We don't sit down and think about how incredibly intelligent our bodies are. So my job is to act as a key and unlock that intelligence so that your body can heal from within. And in order to do that, we use a 5-punch system, my 5-punch system, which consists of 5 different treatments that I've gathered over time. So I basically set out, and if somebody told me, this doctor in Oregon is getting amazing results with CRPS, she treats the central nervous system, I wanted to know what she was doing, how it works, and if I was happy with the results, I brought that treatment back home here to Arkansas, and we made it part of our treatment system so that we punch this thing over and over again, trying to knock it out. The first part of the 5-punch system is the vagus nerve treatment. I'm quickly going to grab my spine, just excuse me, I should have had that handy. So, the vagus nerve is a cranial nerve. It is a nerve that runs straight from the brain to your body. It doesn't go through the spinal cord. And that nerve does many different things. It's actually a nerve that is causing a lot of excitement in medical research. They just came out with a new research paper pointing to the connection between the vagus nerve and your immune system. There's a huge connection between the two. But this nerve helps you to swallow. It controls various different organs in your abdominal cavity, and it controls inflammation in your central nervous system. So if that nerve has any pressure on it, because this bone, the atlas, will sometimes move. It will move too forward or too much back, or it will twist to one side or the other. And that can be because of an old whiplash injury, something you never thought of before. Maybe 20 years ago you were in a car accident, and then 20 years later you develop CRPS after you break your leg, and you never think about the two being connected. If you have a tailbone injury, sometimes think of two pillars of the bridge. It will throw this vertebra off, and so it will affect that vagus nerve. So what we do with gentle pressure, we move the vertebra off of the vagus nerve, and that will often reactivate that nerve to start doing its job. And so that is our first punch. And our second punch is a neurologic rehabilitation program called Quantum Neurology. It was developed by Dr. George Gonzalez from Los Angeles, and he developed it to rehabilitate his wife Lori, who had a spinal cord injury and she was paralyzed from the waist down. That system is amazing, and what we do, like you can rehabilitate bones and muscles. If you had an injury, they can rehabilitate you to walk again, or rehabilitate a knee after an injury. We do this, but we do it with the nervous system. The biggest part of that rehabilitation, two parts: the cranial nerves, we need to rehabilitate those, and then we need to rehabilitate your sensory nervous system. If you think of the sensory nervous system as a fragile bubble, the kind that you blow, for kids, if you touch one part of it, the whole thing will sort of vibrate. So if you have CRPS and you just hear vibration or loud music, or somebody, even if you have it in your foot, will sometimes touch your shoulder or put their hand on your leg, it will really start aggravating the CRPS, because your body is abnormally responding to sensory input. And so we point that out to the brain, and we help the brain to fix it. That's the second part. The third part is called the vector system. It was developed by Dr. Rhodes in Houston. It is a brilliant system. Genetically, people that develop CRPS are very often low on certain chemicals in the body that the cells need to do their jobs. There's a chemical called COMT that is responsible to reroute blood supply to your extremities after an injury. And people that suffer from CRPS are often genetically less prone to manufacture this chemical. And so we stimulate meridians in the body. We measure the temperature in the upper and the lower extremities the whole time, and we make sure that your body responds. Your temperature starts climbing while doing this treatment. And then the machine picks a protocol that makes your temperature climb the most, and we help the body to stop producing these chemicals again, to reroute blood supply and to help the extremity or wherever the CRPS started come back to life. There's a fourth one called frequency-specific microcurrent. That was developed by Dr. Carol McMakin from Oregon. Her son suffered from CRPS and he is in remission today. She didn't develop the system to treat CRPS. That is one of the things that we notice great success in. And that just helps the cell to increase the ATP, like the nerve cells. ATP is the fuel that drives the cells, and that helps the nerve cells to heal again. It is our hypothesis, we're just guessing, but it's our hypothesis that we are changing the gates. Let me back up a little bit. On your cells, you have voltage controlled gates that control the inflow and the outflow of chemicals like potassium, calcium, and the microcurrent will help to stop the leaking of those in the cells. And so it's a lot like the biphosphonate drugs coming out of Italy, but there are no side effects to it. And then last but not least, we do testing. So we look at a lot of factors in the Krebs cycle, in the nitric oxide cycle, in the MTHFR cycle, all these cycles that happen within your cells. and we look at your genetic profile to see if you're low on some of those, and then we help those along with targeted supplementations. So those are our 5 punches. I hope I'm not missing anything. The main reason I wanted to do that is in case we had some questions this afternoon. I know it's really hard sometimes to get a doctor on the phone, and so I wanted to open this up for you guys for questions if you have questions about the treatment. No questions? Okay, if you guys watch this after the broadcast today and you happen to have a question, go ahead and post it, and I'll respond underneath, and that way other people can see it as well. The way our treatment plan works is that we do a testing period. So you come in for a week to 2 weeks, depending on the patient, and we need to see a very definite response to the treatment within those 2 weeks. And that response needs to look like your pain dropping. So your pain needs to respond. We cannot ensure your results, but we really try to maximize our success. And that way we are more sure that we're going to see results with you if your pain drops within the first 2 weeks. And what I like to hear from patients in the first 2 weeks is, my pain has responded better to this than it ever has to anything else. Those are sweet words to my ears, because it means that we're probably on the right track with your nervous system. The whole treatment program, including those 2 weeks, is about 10 weeks long. And so you're looking at about 10 weeks total. That does mean that you have to temporarily come stay in Arkansas. Our treatments are Monday through Thursdays, and you have Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off. We do partner with a hotel, so we can help you with that part. And some patients come in without a car. We've had patients here. I have a young patient here from Canada right now that doesn't drive herself, so we do have Uber and things like that. So again, I'll ask you one more time if we have any questions from anybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have CRPS, I know it's a horrible way to start the year, but I want you to know that your body is amazing. Your nervous system is so good at what it does. And I have what we call white crow moments in here all the time. And what that means is you only have to see one white crow to know that not all crows are black. If other patients are able to go into remission, you know that this condition can be beat. There is nothing about your body that makes it worse than other people's bodies that should prohibit you from healing. So if nothing else, if you leave this broadcast today with just a feeling of hope, then I've done my job today. My book is called Putting Out the Fire, New Hope for RSD CRPS, and you can purchase it on Amazon and download it on Kindle. Thank you so much for joining.